Hey friends, thanks for joining me again. This time I'm going to try to do a video before it gets dark outside because I have a window right here and it does have great lighting. And also because if it gets dark outside, I need to pause this video, go turn on the overhead light and come back, and which I will forget. So the three things we're going to cover today are what to do in North Texas before the temperature drops again, if it does, before next winter. The second thing we're going to go over is how I manage the cooped up anxiety that you feel when everything's frozen outside. North Texas is frozen and you got to stay inside. Some of us might get a little bit of, I hate to say it, 2020, like cooped up anxiety. Remember those days? Glad those are over. Knock on wood. I didn't want to knock too hard or my dog will start barking. The third thing we're going to cover is why living outside of Tarrant County, why living outside of Fort Worth is considered to many who don't live here rural. I thought it was rural as well. Some parts of it are, some are not. But why living in this rural outskirts changes your pre-Icemageddon prep game. Hi, I'm Janelle Gold, and I have 14 years of customer success experience in tech, in SaaS, sales as a, or excuse me, software as a service, years in that field, and I love playbooks. So today I'm going to give you my playbook. So this is going to be come in handy mostly for people who are new to North Texas, people who are considering moving to the DFW area or north of that. This is going to come in handy for people who are maybe new to home ownership in this area. Maybe you lived here all your life, but you weren't in charge. Somebody else had to prep the house and buy the groceries, right? So that's who this video is for. So, speaking of groceries, that is one of the first things you need to think about before the temperature drops. Go get your groceries if you can. Go to the store like minimum 3 days in advance. What I do now, I love food. I love making my own meals. So I kind of always have a running menu on my mind. And also, it's not like I'm planning new meals all the time. By the way, I eat the same things all the time. So I know I got to go get these things. So if you can, go get your staples and the ingredients for your comfort foods because trust me, when it's icy outside, it's storming outside, you're going to want your comfort foods. Oh, and one thing. Wow, right now, February 2nd, feels like spring in North Texas. The groundhog did say we could expect 6 more weeks of winter. So thinking of that along those terms and joking, I mean, I love the groundhog, even though he has he's in Pennsylvania. He has no idea what Texas weather's like. But I've been here since 2000. Not, that's like 26 years ago I got here. Okay. And to my data, my memory believes that it storms, we get ice storm, snow, freezing temperatures every February. Every February. I know because it feels like I'm asked to pick people up at the airport around that time, and it is slippery and treacherous. So, what I did, so that's why, even though it feels like spring today here, this is something that might come in handy if we hit freezing temperatures again in February. And it might come in handy for the next time it gets cold, which is next winter. Okay, so I said go get your groceries if you can days in advance. If you're already from here, you know that we're going to run out of eggs. We're going to run out of milk. We're going to run out of bread at the grocery store. And I'm telling you this not to incite panic buying, but I love brunch. Hashtag I heart brunch. I need my eggs too. So I'm gonna want those for my comfort food. If I'm home during the freeze, guess what? I have time to make brunch. But also think in advance, like if you're gonna want chili or maybe you want to make brownies, get those ingredients. You do not want to be going to the store after like at the last minute, which is as temperatures start dropping while it's raining. Okay. Oh, pro tip. If you move to Parker County, Wise County, if you move to the outside of Fort Worth, find yourself a local who has chickens. That way you can buy fresh farm eggs from them. You never have to worry about going to the grocery store for eggs. Another pro tip in terms of food, get food for sandwiches. We have now, hopefully, the infrastructure continues to improve, but I have experienced, and many people on my whom I know, we lived through 2021 Icemageddon, where not only did we have power surges, like here, our power was going off like for 3 hours at a time, but some people went like days without power. So if you don't have power, and what does that mean? It means you don't have a refrigerator, but okay, put your food outside if you're worried it's going to spoil and it's cold outside, or put it in your garage. But you don't have a stove unless you have a gas stove. So food for sandwiches, okay? Also, knock on wood, if the infrastructure fails like it did in 2021, many of the now like the water supply places, why can't I think of what the proper name? Anyway, because of lack of power, they couldn't filter and process water. So many people didn't have drinking water. So I happen to have drinking water because I don't really like the water that comes out of my faucet. So I always have gallons, 5 gallon jugs of drinking water. But if pipes freeze because you have no heat, you might not have access to drinking water or even water to shower or bathe. So, drinking water, but also one thing that I will say in my next point is faucets. You're going to want to drip the faucets, every single faucet. You have two bathrooms, means you have two bathtubs. Drip both faucets. Many of the homes in my neighborhood have two sinks in the main bathroom. So that's two bathtubs, two sinks, one or two sinks in the guest bathroom, plus your kitchen sink. You're gonna drip all those faucets. So basically, many of you already know this, I'm sure. I don't want to sound redundant, but for those of you who don't, who maybe don't have this kind of infrastructure here, where we can't handle the cold, the running water does not freeze. It helps prevent the freeze, actually. Maybe not in all cases, it might freeze. Because we did have some freezing pipes in 2021, even though they were dripping. So faucets, okay. Keep that in the back of your mind. But you also want, before you get to Texas, you buy your first house, or you just moved here, whether you're renting or whatever. I don't care if it's summer, whatever day you get here. Run to your local hardware store and get faucet covers for outside. They are these like styrofoam square things with a like a rubber piece on the inside that you hook to the faucet, you're gonna want to cover all of your outdoor faucets. If you wait to the last minute, you will find out that the hardware store is out of them. So if you find yourself, if you're watching this and you're in a pinch and it's the last minute and there's no faucet covers, run to your local closest Whataburger and get a couple drinks because they have styrofoam cups. And in a pinch, those styrofoam cups will save your pipes from bursting. It sounds crazy, but it works. If you ever actually have to, I've never actually done that because I have the faucet covers. But if you do it, please comment and let me know how it works, how those pipes held up. It's the Whataburger cup hack. We already talked about dripping the faucets. I'm just thinking about my points. If you can, you're going to also want to budget in for a generator. Now, this will come in handy during Icemageddon if you don't have power. Think about what it means to not have power. You're kind of offline. You got no internet, no router. You can't charge your phones. Can't keep in contact, letting people know you're okay if you run out of phone battery, right? Also, here, my coffee pot is electric. My stove is electric. So my generator could help me run a coffee pot, run my router or get my internet up. Also, while we're on this subject, thinking about, am I going to be able to Netflix and chill if I don't have power? Download, download your favorite TV shows before the power goes out so you can binge watch. Thinking about coffee, the propane grill is also a very good way to warm up water for coffee if you have a gas stove, an electric stove, which I do. Just trying to stay on track, friends. Thank you for your patience. But in the comments, let me know if you have additional tips. One of the things I mentioned, the third thing is living on the quote unquote outskirts changes your prep game. Why? Many people that live here, including myself for the last 14 years, I didn't live here for 14 years, but I've been a remote worker for 14 years. The closest grocery store is only 3 miles away, not far, but they're always out of eggs. Not always, but often, and especially during weather, things like Icemageddon, storms, winter. Oh, and Easter. I still don't know how the Easter bunny plays into that holiday, but there's a bunny and eggs, and there's always no eggs. So if you need eggs for brunch in the spring, again, you might have to find an alternate grocery store. And my favorite grocery store, HEB, which is a Texas favorite, not just my favorite, is 30 minutes away. So if my prep game includes specialty items that I want to get from HEB, that's me planning to drive 30 minutes out of my way. Another thing about this area, while if you're in the main city limits of Fort Worth or Dallas, we now have sand trucks. When I first moved here, I don't think we probably had sand trucks, but in my recollection, we didn't actually have sand or we didn't have enough for the ice, the freezing ice is essentially what we get. This last Icemageddon, January 2026. They were doing the salt sand prepping in Fort Worth before the storm. But guess what? This is Parker County. I don't know what their prep game in terms of prepping the roads is like, but I know since I'm out of my town's limits, I'm on the outside of town here as well. My roads didn't get sanded or salted. And guess what? I know maybe you moved to Texas and you're like, I'm gonna get a 4x4 too. And maybe you're new to home ownership and you already had your 4x4. Ice doesn't care about your 4x4, making it a little extra difficult to make it to your favorite store, in my case, HEB, 30 miles away. Even in the event, here's one other thing that I forgot. And I come I've lived here for 26 years, but I do come from an area that did need salt trucks and salting and sanding. And we had ice melt for our porch steps and our driveway and sidewalks when I was growing up, but I didn't think about it here. And my truck was safely tucked away in the driveway, in the garage. Guess what? When the rain stopped and I went outside, I had about 4 inches, 3 to 4 inches of ice just right out all along my garage door. Well, I was able to open the garage. It was treacherous. It still is, actually. And this is February 2nd. I had friends that were texting me saying they were still, even though yesterday was like 70 degrees almost, today is almost 70 degrees, pouring boiling water on their ice. When we're well above freezing, the ice is still not melting based on the direction that your walkway or your garage is facing. So my garage is facing north, therefore the ice wasn't melting, and it was still slippery when I left this morning. Just thinking about like sliding. I normally back in, but I couldn't back in a few days ago because the ice was, I just didn't have any traction. But I pulled him forward to the garage over the last few days. And today when I backed out, I was kind of fishtailing. And for a moment, I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to hit the garage frame, right? The door, the sides of the house or the side of the door. Don't laugh if you know the proper name for that. But anyway, point is, get yourself some sand or ice melt if your walkway or your garage door is facing north. Because if you're already from the north, you know that ice doesn't melt for a long time, but something we didn't think about. All right, we're wrapping up here. So if you're building a life in North Texas, again, if you're new to North Texas, new to home ownership out here in Parker County or Wise County, those are the counties just west of Fort Worth. It's a little bit of self-reliance, but also community. So the last tip is meet your neighbors. Your neighbors are very likely willing to help you and partner up. In fact, I didn't have propane and my neighbor brought me his propane tank. Isn't that nice? So if you just want to learn more about Texas living, welcome. Welcome to my channel. I am documenting my journey from tech sales and SaaS, software as a service, and customer success. That's where I've come from. I am documenting this journey from there to real estate. This is only my second video, but I did want to share some tips about North Texas living and the ice storms. I did, and I actually forgot something. I know we're at the end, but I said how I cope through this anxiety because I was really, really stressed for a little bit just with a recent storm because I can hear the constant dripping of the faucets and I'm like sound sensitive. And then the tapping of the ice on my windows, and it was stressing me out. But remember, gratitude. I was grateful. Constantly reminding myself, I'm grateful for having this home, for feeling safe, and having neighbors around that are willing to help. So that's what reminded me about community. It is about a little bit about self-reliance and community. So when you get here, meet your neighbors. They are most likely willing and ready to welcome you to their community. Anyway, until next time, friends, stay safe and I will see you in a few days. Bye.